Suppose we have a conducting wire. So we have the electrons in the metal flying off at random velocities. So there's no ordered motion of these charge carriers through the wire. Now on the other hand, current is the rate at which the charge passes through the cross-sectional area of the wire. And this is the ordered motion of charge through a conductor, which is achieved by applying a potential difference through a power source. So we have the electrons flowing through the wire, and then they bump into the core atoms and the electrons in the wire, and therefore due to the potential difference, an electric field gets generated in the wire, and the electrons flow through the wire in an ordered way. So in other words, they have an average velocity, being the drift velocity. And this drift velocity is of the order of millimeters per second, because the electrons interact with the atoms and other electrons in the wire. So they get slowed down. Now if we take a section from this wire, so we have a cross-sectional area, and a length delta x, we have the current is the charge flowing through the cross-sectional area of the wire on a change in time. And if we denote n as the number of charge carriers per unit volume, then if we multiply this by the volume, then that gives the number of charges, and then multiplying by the charge that's carried by these charge carriers, we get delta Q. So delta x, being the distance that the charge has to travel, is equal to the velocity by the change in time. So let's replace this. And then dividing through by delta t, we get a relationship between the current and the average drift velocity. So noting the charge carriers in the wire are electrons, so Q would be minus E, where E is the elementary charge. And note that current has units of coulombs per second. So 1 coulomb per second is 1 ampere, or amp. So we can see that electric charge moves in a circuit in response to an electric potential difference. And this here is sometimes referred to as the electromotive force. So noting that a circuit is a conducting pathway through which electrons can flow. So here they flow from the anode to the cathode of our battery. And direct current is where the charge carriers travel in one direction, as in this case. And we see here that an electric field is sustained inside the conductor due to the potential difference maintained by the power source. So noting that EMF, or electromotive force, is not actually a force. It's the change in electric potential, which is effectively the work done per unit charge in volts. And note the analogy between conductors we looked at under electrostatic conditions, where we saw that excess charge resides on the surface of a conductor, and the conductor formed an equipotential surface. So that's different to this case, where you get the electromotive force driving an electric field through the conductor. And also note that if the current is zero in a section of the wire, the net motion of the charge carriers is also zero. But note that the individual charge carriers will not have zero speed. So the electrons still travel at random velocities, but they're just not moving in an ordered way through the conductor. We saw that current can be written as the charge by the number of charges per unit volume by the cross-sectional area through which they're flowing, multiplied by the average drift velocity. So the electrons move in an ordered way through the conducting wire due to the potential difference or electromotive force of the power source, which is denoted by epsilon. And noting that current is a scalar quantity. Then if we divide through by the cross-sectional area of the wire, so we have the charge by the number of charge carriers per unit volume by the cross-sectional area of the wire by the average drift velocity. And then if we consider the direction in which the current is flowing, then this quantity on the left with the direction is called the current density, which is equal to Q by N by the average drift velocity. So the current density is a vector quantity. So the current density is the flow of charge per unit area. And more generally, it's related to the current by the integral of the dot product between the current density and the area vector dA. So if the normal vector of this cross-sectional area points in the same direction as the drift velocity, then the cosine of the angle between them evaluates to 0. So therefore we can write this as the magnitude of the current density by the cross-sectional area of the wire. So recall that the potential difference across the conductor creates an electric field within that conductor, and the electric field is proportional to the resistivity of the conductor and the current density. And when we look at Ohm's law, we'll derive this, but qualitatively we can write this as the resistivity by the current per unit area, and we multiply this by a direction vector specifying the direction in which the current is flowing. So if we take the current as constant, then for a material with a higher resistance, a higher electric field would be required to maintain that same current or electron flow. And if the cross-sectional area of the wire is higher, then the electrons would have a higher space to move, and therefore you require a lower electric field to sustain that current. Now the current density can also be given as a function. So in that case, the total electric current through a section of wire can be obtained by integrating the dot product between the current density and the differential area vector. So recall we had a power source that creates a potential difference which can sustain an electric field inside a conductor. So therefore the current would be due to the electrons flowing against the direction of the electric field. But as we mentioned, current is a scalar quantity, which is a rate at which charge flows through a cross-sectional area of the wire or conductor. Well, we can observe that while it's a scalar, it still has a direction, because the electrons go from the anode and around to the cathode in a circuit. But because its direction is relative to the current carrier and not space, then current does not obey the laws of vector addition and doesn't have any vector components. And when solving problems involving electric circuits, we actually use conventional current being the direction in which positive charge would move. So that will be against the direction that the electrons are flowing. So they'll go from the cathode and back to the anode. And note that this is only a convention that we use. So positive charges would flow against the direction of negative charges. But always keep in mind, the current is actually due to the movement of electrons, or negative charge carriers, even though you solve problems using conventional current. A homogeneous cylindrical rod carries a current with a current density J, and that varies with the radial distance from the center of the rod. According to this function, what is the total current in the rod? So remember that the total current was equal to the integral of the dot product between the current density vector and the area vector of the rod. And remember, the current density was related to the drift velocity using the charge by the number of charges per unit volume by the drift velocity. So at the middle of the rod, the velocity is going to be 0, but as we move away from the center up to the radius of the rod, the drift velocity is going to be higher. So therefore, if we take an element on this cross-sectional area, so we'll take a ring with some infinitesimal thickness, dr, and this has some radius r. So the current density on that ring is going to be 2r, being J, multiplied by 2 pi r, being the circumference of the ring, by the thickness, which gives the area of that thin ring. And then we integrate this from r equals 0 to the radius of the cylinder to get the total current through that cross-sectional area. So taking the constants outside the integral, we have 4 pi, and the integral evaluates to r cubed on 3, evaluated from 0 to r. And therefore the total current is 4 pi r cubed on 3. And note that the current density is in units of current per area, and this here is the infinitesimal area that we used. So our result will be in units of the current. So for example, coulombs per second or amps.